From the World of Stars. Mimei Ogawa. Ryokichi was born into a poor family. His village was a quiet place, surrounded by many forests. Little birds came and chirped, and in spring, white flowers and many fragrant blossoms bloomed. Ryokichi had a good friend named Fumio, who was about the same age. The two of them were inseparable. They would carry sticks, race each other, or head to the river with fishing rods, playing happily together. A river flowed just outside the village, and its waters were abundant and clear. Grass grew thickly along its banks. The two boys would sit on the grassy riverbank, watching the water as they fished. On windy days, they wandered together, gathering chestnuts or collecting dry branches to help their parents. They shared everything they had, lending and borrowing from each other as they played. Whenever Ryokichi's parents brought back illustrated books or toys from town, he would show them to Fumio or let him borrow them. Likewise, when Fumio got his hands on something interesting, he would eagerly bring it over for Ryokichi to see. There was no division or rivalry between them. They played in perfect harmony. So, even though their village was far from the town and somewhat desolate, the two never felt lonely. They were always together, enjoying each other's company. However, misfortune often strikes when least expected. One cold day, as autumn was giving way to winter, Fumio caught a slight chill. That minor illness gradually worsened, confining him to bed. Worried, Ryokichi visited Fumio's home almost daily to check on him. Fumio's parents cared for him with all their might, but Fumio didn't recover. Eventually, he lay gravely ill, staring up at his friend Ryokichi, who sat at his bedside, concerned. "Get better soon so we can play together again," Fumio said with a weak smile. His voice faint. "Yeah, let's play. How are you feeling? A little better?" Ryokichi smiled back, clasping his frail friend's hand. But this was their farewell. That night, Fumio passed away. Ryokichi wept bitterly from the depths of his sorrow. Fumio was laid to rest in the village temple's cemetery, and Ryokichi cried as he followed the funeral procession. After that, whenever he had a spare moment, he would go to the cemetery, sit in front of Fumio's grave, and talk as if his friend was still alive. "Hey, I thought you might be lonely, so I came to visit you," Ryokichi would say. The cold wind swept through the empty cemetery, stirring up dried leaves that swirled sadly through the air and scattered across the ground. After sitting there for a while, dusk would begin to fall, and reluctantly, he would return home. However, due to family circumstances, Ryokichi's family had to move to a different village the following year. Knowing he wouldn't be able to visit Fumio's grave for a while, Ryokichi made a special trip one day, explained his situation to his friend, and then, with a heavy heart, he left the village. The new place where Ryokichi's family moved was next door to the home of a wealthy family. That family had a boy around Ryokichi's age named Rikizo, and soon the two boys became friends. Rikizo could have anything he wanted. He owned all kinds of trendy toys, beautiful books, and many other things. Often, he would bring these outside to show off to the other kids his age. Some of Rikizo's toys were things Ryokichi had never seen before, with names he didn't even know. However, Rikizo never let anyone else play with them. Even if he did lend something, he would quickly take it back. In his heart, Ryokichi wished he could have toys like Rikizo's. He had never owned things like airplanes, motorboats, music boxes, or air guns. He thought how happy he would be if he could just have even one toy like those Rikizo had. Of all Rikizo's toys, the ones Ryokichi wanted most were the airplane and the music box. The music box, in particular, played the most beautiful and indescribable melody. "Rikizo, could you lend me that music box for a little while?" Ryokichi asked one day as he approached Rikizo, who was playing the music box outside. But Rikizo shook his head from side to side. "No way. If I lend it to you, you'll just break it. I'll take good care of it, I promise. Can't you let me borrow it, just for a bit?" Ryokichi pleaded, his eyes filling with tears. "I don't like lending my things to others," Rikizo replied flatly, refusing to let him borrow it. Since there was no other choice, Ryokichi went into the woods, cut some bamboo, and drilled small holes into it to make his own flute. When he played, little birds from all around were drawn to the sound, gathering on nearby branches and chirping along, as if they thought the flute was one of their own friends. Seeing this, Rikizo immediately wanted the flute Ryokichi had made. "I'll lend you my music box if you give me that flute," Rikizo proposed. Ryokichi, happy to accept, handed over his flute to Rikizo. For the first time, he held the music box, gazing at it with care and wonder at the strange, beautiful sounds it produced. However, after a short while, Rikizo came back over to him. "I'm heading home now, so give the music box back," he said, taking it back from Ryokichi and walking away. Ryokichi watched him go, feeling a deep sense of loss as Rikizo disappeared from sight. Ryokichi's house was a rundown shack. That night, as he lay in bed, he couldn't get the music box or the toy airplane he'd seen out of his mind. Staring up at the ceiling, lost in thought, he noticed a glimmer from the window. A light from a distant star high in the blue sky, shining down and gently illuminating his face. The light from the stars cast an indescribable beauty. Some were golden, others silver. There were also green, purple, and blue stars. Ryokichi thought, even if he didn't have toys or rare things, he could claim the stars in the sky as his own. He decided he would gaze at them every night before falling asleep. Each night, when he lay in bed, he would watch the light of the stars through his window and think about many things. Then, one night, something strange happened. A figure seemed to beckon him from the window. Ryokichi got up to look, and to his surprise, it was Fumio. Overcome with joy, Ryokichi tightly grasped Fumio's hand. "I live in the world of the stars now," Fumio said. "In the world of stars, there are faster, better airplanes and instruments that play even more beautiful music. Next time I come, I'll bring some of them for you. I came here on one of those planes, you know. From now on, I'll visit you every night, so you don't have to feel lonely anymore." "Oh, really? Please, come and play with me every night. I feel so terribly lonely," Ryokichi replied, hot tears streaming from his eyes as he clung to his friend's hand. But Fumio's hand was as cold as ice, and his face was as pale and translucent as wax. Ryokichi, seeing how his friend had changed, felt a deep sadness and began to cry once more.